Welcome to Burshell's Friends. This video is for my teacher friends, and for the kids I will be doing some more videos later. But right now I want to talk to my teacher friends about the video that I posted a couple weeks ago. And I apologize, but I had parent-teacher conferences last week, and so wasn't able to make a video last week, so I'm making it this week. Thank you for your patience and understanding. I want to talk a little bit about Dumptruck, the story that I told last time, and how I use it in my classroom. It covers a lot of curriculum. It covers social studies. We do community helpers. It covers vocabulary. I use it in my sensory tub for my preschool, fellow preschool teachers, and story recall. And I even have some things at the end that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that I also use with this. Like I said, we talk about community helpers, so in social studies, construction workers have the best job. Come on, they get to ride around on these really cool vehicles. So, especially preschool friends, they want to have this cool job. It's like the trash truck or any of those other things that have the really neat vehicles. They want to do this. So it's fun to talk about that and to get them talking. Those kids that are a little bit more on the quiet side. I have a kid this year that really likes the vehicles. Every time I bring out new vehicles, that's gets his attention. And so the construction vehicles were a big hit with him. Yeah, construction vehicles make it look like fun. Also, great vocabulary. Who doesn't like to say excavator? And the kids love to learn those big words, and they love to go home and share those big words with their families. And I just love when things like that happen, like when parents come in and go, how did they learn this word? And it's like, well, we talk about that in preschool. We learn big words. So that's a fun part of this. I got the vehicles, not this one. This one's from another set, but the ones that you saw last week with the last video, those were all under $6, $5.88 at Walmart. And so I think there's 5 in there. And I took them back to school. We're using them right now in the classroom. But they were under $6, and that is such a deal for something like this and something you can use. So I do have a PowerPoint on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I use the construction vehicles that I used last week, but that I use in my classroom in a sensory tub. And I have the sand, and I have rocks, and I have other things in those pictures, the little construction workers, Lego construction workers, all in that. And so, and I will link that down below. But on that PowerPoint, you can go through and tell the story, and it has the picture on one side, and you can tell that easy, repetitive story. The dump truck, what do you see? I see a, and keep going with that story. But also on each slide, on the other side, I have more information about that vehicle. And then there's also a little link to fun videos that are like songs, but they go over the different vehicles. So like on the Bulldozer, it's Bulldozer, it's a dozer. And it just has a fun song that goes on, and the kids can actually see a real bulldozer doing its work. So Like I said, I will link that down below, and I use that in my classroom as well. That's what my kids saw in my classroom, was the PowerPoint. But you can also print those pictures out so that kids can look at those pictures and talk about the vocabulary, and you'll have that in your classroom. So they can talk about, or they can even retell the story, print out those pictures, and the kids can put them in order and retell the story. Other tools that I use when I'm talking about construction, I use these. I use bolts and nuts, and this is so wonderful for the kids' fine motor skills. And I have ones like this that they can tighten and loosen, and this is a wonderful skill. I also made a like a little wooden bridge. I wish I would have brought it, but and I put different things in it that I could use I used a ratchet wrench to tighten it and loosen it, and I showed them how to use that tool, and that was a lot of fun for them. But the hole that I made in there and everything was just for the one, so I just had the one attachment and they could use it and we would talk about it. So it was really a fun look into tools. I wanted to share some other books that I use too, because you know how I love my books. Okay, so for the books, one of the ones I love to use, this is, last couple of years it was printed, but Chris Van Dusen, If I Built a House. And I love it because it has blueprints on it, and so you can talk about the blueprints. And Jack, that's in the story, here he is drawing his idea, and you see him there drawing it, and he has some pieces, and then he actually makes a model of what he wants his house to be. And then the house that he builds is just like the coolest house. And so what I do with this is afterwards I talk about what would they want to have their school. There's also one, If I Build a School. So that would be a really fun one to do when you're talking about community as well. And how would you improve the school? How would you make the school better? And what would you add to it? We did a project-based learning with construction and community, and the kids each made a 3D house, and we made it part of community. But we planned out our community, and we talked about what we wanted, and they wanted to have, well, in here he has trampoline in the house that he can bounce from place to place, and then he goes into a ball pit. But we were talking about, wouldn't it be cool to have wouldn't it be cool to have your sidewalk as a trampoline, and you could bounce from trampoline to trampoline in your community? So we really thought of a lot of fun things with that one. That was a lot of fun. This is called Mr. Noisy Builds a House, and it's a fun one that I just put in our I put this one in our school library, or classroom library. And so that's just a fun one. It's just nice to have little things like this. Building a road, the construction vehicles for building a road are very different than, well, they're a lot of the same ones. But you get to see those and you go like, oh, hey, there's the excavator that we were talking about. So that one's great. And then, yep, they see the dump truck pulling away all the dirt. So that's a good one to follow up with. Another one that I like is Little Excavator. And Little Excavator, at the beginning of the story, the book, you see this area. This is where they're coming to fix this area. And then you can see over here, there's all the construction vehicles that are coming to the lot to work on this. And then at the end, look at that. That's what they did. And they're all starting to leave. And Little Excavator is one of the last ones to leave. But the thing is, every time they call him Little E wants to do what the big guys are doing, and he's just too little and he just can't do it. But they have, oh, there we go. They built this little bridge to go across to this island, and none of the big rigs can go in. They're all too big. But who can go? Little Excavator. And so he is the hero. So this is a fun book because kids feel that they're so little and they can't do anything, but they can. They can do so much, and it's a great story to talk about that those big guys couldn't get in there and do that, but that little guy could, Little Excavator. And Build Dogs Build, it's another fun one, and it just has a lot of things going on. They build a skyscraper, and so there's all the different things they do to build the skyscraper. Backhoe Joe. This is a fun one because it's Backhoe Joe acts like an animal, like a dog. So this child, I'm trying to remember, Nolan, and I had a Nolan last year, so when I read this, everybody's like, oh, Nolan. But he's collecting rocks, and he sees a backhoe, and he takes a step closer, but he kind of backs up, kind of like a pet would when you see like a stray dog or something. There's a stray backhoe, and so he backs up a little bit, and so he puts out some rocks like he would put treats for a pet. And so he comes and he plays with them, and they just have such a good time. He decides he needs to take it home, and so not as good as a regular pet, but look, like it leaks oil. It's just the best. It's just like a real pet. And so in the end, he sees a lost sign, and he knows it's his backhoe, and he has to give it back. But he doesn't want to. He's really bonded with it. And look, they're so happy when they leave, but Nolan's so sad. And so the guy who comes and gets Backhoe, Joe, he lets Nolan come to the construction site, not only to visit, but to check out the construction site. Very cool. And then construction, this is fun because it has all the sounds. Construction is not a quiet thing, it's noisy. And so they lay the pipes, twist and click, run the wires so you have power. Scritch, switch, flick. Look at those. Just fun words. And then, and they're building a library for this one. So that's also a fun one, because after it's done, then what do you have? You have a library to look at books, which is one of my favorite things to do. So that's just a little bit of information for you about how I use Dumptruck in my classroom. I just wanted to share with you my mom, when she was learning how to drive, she learned how to drive on a backhoe. And because there were vehicles, construction vehicles around her house, her dad, my daddy Bill, he stripped coal in Pennsylvania. And so she was around all of that, and he had huge dump trucks that carried the coal to people's homes. And so he just was always involved with that, and he was really amazing with like any type of motors. He just had a really amazing mind for that and able to fix them and think about them in a different way, and diesel engines and regular engines, and it's just amazing. But I think that's where all of this started, my interest in just learning more about it. And then my uncle has a pool business. He's always had, my uncle and my aunt, they have heavy equipment as well to dig, and so it's I've seen it a lot. I hope you found this helpful, and again, I will link everything down below, and I hope that you have a great week. I am starting my fall break, so I'm going to have a relaxing couple of weeks. Had a rough week last week. It was good. The parents are wonderful, but it was a long week. So I am glad to be back at this and sharing with you. So I will be filming some stuff too this week, but kind of taking a little bit more on my own time. And so I will have some fun things coming up down the line that I hope you will enjoy. If you like what you see, please like the video, subscribe if this is the kind of thing you would like to see more of. I have up on my YouTube page, there's a Facebook page that you can go to, and you can write down things that you would like to see me put on here. Someone said, someone wrote down that's been in my preschool class. She was an intern that I had, Justin. She wrote down talking about how I get kids to come into the classroom in an orderly fashion. So I'm going to look into how I would do that, but I think that would be fun. Subscribe and you will know when things come up. I try to do a kid video and then the teacher's edition video, and I also am going to start having some squirrel videos, which are completely different,